I would think yay would be a word, and hooray.
Hey, Rick, you're saying us guys have to listen more than talk, right?
Well, no, if I did that, I would never be in trouble, and I'm always in trouble. I thought the women would be louder and more excited about it. So hopefully as we go along, that'll happen. I want to introduce somebody who's going to introduce somebody. I've known this person, I've known Jane Taft for a long, long time. As I have said before at other events, I actually know how old she is.
Okay.
I know. Well, you invite me to a major party, I remember those things. So anyway, I want to introduce Jane because she's an amazing speaker. She runs an amazing networking group, and she has an amazing business. So basically, it's the 3 A's, amazing, amazing, amazing. She's an amazing person. And she is going to be introducing another amazing person who's our speaker tonight. So I'm going to turn over to you, Jane. Would you go ahead and make the honors and introduce Jane?
Thank you, Rick. You know, it's always fun when I am invited to introduce a friend. And tonight doesn't diminish that excitement at all, because I have gotten to know your speaker over the last few months and continue to be amazed at his progress. The fact that he's completely coachable. I tend to be pretty hard on people when I talk about establishing a baseline for how you're supposed to speak and present. And the fact that he asked me to introduce him tonight really is a testament to his trust for me and just how far he's come. So you are going to get a treat tonight from Jim Chong. He will be speaking on the 3 money mistakes that screw up families in the generations to come. For those of you who know me, that's really important that we support our future generations. This talk is focusing on the importance of making good decisions in your early stages and income generating years. How many are in their income generating years? That's me. Totally. And also the consequences of not having the right knowledge or strategies. I love the fact that Jim uses strategies, because it's all about strategic planning. Jim is a professional writer, speaker, financial solutions professional that focuses on helping business people over 40, so I'm finally included in that group, for retirement. He is very integral in helping seniors with their long-term care planning and their entitlement and health care benefits. Getting what you are entitled to, what you put into all those years, is Jim's specialty. He is on the board and executive team of 2 ethnic chambers, as well as Healings in Motion, which is a nonprofit devoted to the education of stroke awareness, prevention, and brain health. How many stories have we heard about strokes recently? It's really quite devastating. He's also a principal in the Solutions for Life, a business collaborative resource that provides resources to the community and the speaker circuit. That's designed to help assist speakers in refining and monetizing their message. We're all about adding money to our messages. His core strength is establishing community, truly. I mean, if you want to know how to collaborate with others, Jim has amazing skill in that area. Please talk to him about that. And true collaboration. And his dream is to be the difference for others to fulfill their passion and ambition. So without further ado, help me in welcoming Jim Chong.
Isn't Jane wonderful?
Yes.
Let's give her a round of applause. There are so many great things that are happening, and I want to set our minds on something really good here. I'm going to trick you. What's your name? Jonna, I'm going to trick you. I'm just going to tell you up front, okay? I'm going to trick you. Now, what I want you to do is, I want you to say a word something that women really love to do. What do women love to do?
Shop.
I'm doing. That is hereditary. All right? So I want you to say shop 5 times.
Shop.
I'm going to ask you a question, all right, Michael? And I want to ask everyone in this room a question. I'm going to have you say shop 5 times, and women, you know, I know when women shop, they're probably thinking about shoes, right? Is that it? I'm getting a clue. But the whole thing is that I'm going to say shop 5 times. I'm going to ask you a question. I don't want you to stop and think too hard about it. Fair enough, Bill? And what I want to do is just have you answer the question. Fair enough? But I'm telling you up front, many of you, maybe 100% if I'm lucky, will be tricked. Because I'm going to tell you that up front. Sound good? Yeah. All right, here we go. So I'm going to say shop 5 times with you. I'm going to ask you a question, and you answer the question loud, all right? You ready? Let's say it. Here we go. Shop, 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 shop. And what do you do when you come to a green light? Stop.
Go.
Stop. Stop. Go. Now I know what the problem is driving in California. When they go to the green light, what do you do, Bill?
Go.
You go, John, you go? All right, good. We have some handouts that are going to be handed out by Joanna. And there's actually 3 sheets here. We're going to go through them as Jane and Joanna hand out some sheets here. But what I want to do is just tell you how excited I am about being here. And Elias, he's a man of few words, isn't he? You're laughing, you know. So Elias calls me, and if you know me, I enjoy a good conversation, right, Joanna? Once in a while. But the whole thing is that Elias said, okay, we only have 30 minutes because it's kind of late. It's about 11:30 because we were finalizing some things. And so what happened was we started talking. There was just so much alignment, synergy. We didn't get off to about 1:30 last night just because there were just so many things to talk about. And it's exciting because I really want to acknowledge his efforts because there are 6 or 7 locations, I believe. Is that right, Elias?
Soon to be 8 in the Mastermind.
All right, soon to be 8. And I'll tell you, putting together one of these once a month, it is a task. So what I'd like to do, join me in giving Elias a big round of applause for that. And a lot of why he does what he does is really for other people. You know, at first I didn't, I don't know, who's this guy, he has a little bit of hair running around. See him on the internet a lot of times, right? But what I realized as I talked to him, he really has a great heart to help people. And the thing I really like about that, he's very definitive on what he expects. He has expectations. And I really appreciate the fact that he calls me higher in how I choose to give. Now, we're going to be talking about some really great stuff. We're going to laugh. We might cry. We're going to talk about something really important. We're going to talk about life and basically the journey and the destination. The journey is when you are born. The destination is when your time is up and everything in the middle. Does that sound okay? And this is a very important topic. And I hope that through the sheets are passed out, there are rooms to take notes, that you take some really good notes. Because I want to be able to just share with you some things that definitely will change your life if you pay attention. And I just want to share a little bit about myself and just how I got to this point here. I grew up in high school being an audiophile. How many of you know what an audiophile is? Do you know what an audiophile is?
ADD.
Our audiophile is somebody that was really into stereo. You know those components before those little Walkmans came out? Remember what Walkmans are? Oh wait, no. Now we have the what? We have the what? iPhones and the whole thing is, I grew up at that time and I actually played with the disco lights. You remember the disco lights? Remember? Born to be alive. All that. And I actually, in high school, I raised some money. I brought my cassette deck there. And we had those floors that you can dance, do the John Travolta thing. But this was before people were willing to fund it. So I actually had to do it all manually, So that was always fun growing up. But then just through the course of life, I had a chance to meet some really inspiring people. People that I saw would really give their lives to other people. And one of the first people that I met, her name was Mai Win. And Mai Win, if you know her, she pulled me into one of the first networking organizations that we're a part of. And what she ended up doing a few years ago was helping establish Little Saigon being nationally recognized And she was a founder of a chamber called the GSVACC, the Greater Sacramento Vietnamese American Chamber of Commerce. And a couple years ago, we've had some major events there. We had one parade, we had upwards of about 10,000 people. I was fortunate enough to get a chance to MC that. But being a part of her executive team from the chamber, I saw this person that just wanted to make a little bit of a difference, to really expand and really affecting the whole culture. You know that South Sacramento corridor there? You know, we are, as a chamber, we are influencing that area to really help business owners. But then I also met Mary Nicholson, who has a cause of really helping people with strokes, because if you understand her story, she was actually brought to an emergency room. Pretty much the ambulance brought her there, left her there, didn't check her in, nothing. She couldn't move. Literally, her head was just down and she could not move until her friend finally showed up to take care of her. And it's like, something's wrong here. And she actually talked to the hospital. They thought that she might have sued them, because she had good grounds, really, when you talk to her from that standard. Before stroke was in vogue, to really be aware of it, what she did was she decided to create a whole cause. On the 6th year, you know, this is the 6th year, she had a caregiver symposium. Her Healings in Motion has been acknowledged for many years in a row to be able to put on 2 great days. One is to sponsor Caregiver Appreciation Day, as well as Stroke Awareness Day in San Joaquin County. And you know, she really wants to go statewide and national. Is this somebody that wants to have influence? Definitely. She's making her life have impact. And the exciting thing is, as she goes on the journey here, you know, now the hospitals are all on board, the organization responsible for 2 stroke centers that are now in the San Joaquin County. We need your help as we come out here to get the message out. Does that sound good? Can we rely on you? Can we rely on you? Yeah. So I'm sharing with you some great things that really are a product of things that have inspired me, and I hope they inspire you. The last person I want to share about, his name is Chris Lambert. He spoke at an event about the military and about the, just basically about life as a Marine and just all the sacrifices they had made. And he actually spoke in East Lawn, where my mom was actually buried. And he just brought everything so true to life. Like, well, we're enjoying a lot of our barbecues, nothing's wrong with that, celebrating the freedom we have. I didn't really realize this. He said every time a barbecue grill pops, every time something just boom, as the gas comes up, for a lot of people it's not fun. A lot of people, they think about the war, they think about the people that have died. And so it really made me appreciative of the fact that people have sacrificed for our freedom. Don't we enjoy a lot of great freedom here?
Yes.
And you know, I appreciate people like Michael Estes. He served also in the military as well, so thank you, Michael. And I know Bill has as well. How many of you have served in the military? Okay. Victor, yeah, of course, Victor. All right. Let's all give them a standing ovation, okay? I saw your name there. Leo, thank you for serving too. But these are very important things to acknowledge, because as we go through life, as we go through the middle part before our journey is complete, there are things that are really important to think about. And one of the things I will tell you is that, you know, I am very happy because I get a chance to share about things that I believe will really impact people's lives. Because I deal in the financial arena and what I call life planning, because it's really all about helping people plan for their life. And one of the things that I see as I went through life myself, I just want to share with you. From a family point of view, there were a lot of great things that I have had a chance to be a part of, participated in. My family was definitely a part of it. But there were some things happening to people that I loved that I was just unprepared for. And that did cost me my family as a result. I just didn't know what to do in some situations. And I wish I had guidance from people like Jane that knew about family dynamics. Because there were some things that happened that I didn't head them off. And if I would have head them off, maybe things would have been different. Now, I believe that everything happens for a reason. I'm not bitter. I'm not sad, but I am humbled by a lot of things that have transpired just in life. But as we face challenges and things happen, you know, you ever heard that expression, you know, hey, better late than never, just get it together, right? But I will tell you, I thought of a phrase, as you go through the challenges of life, I do believe in the better late than never, but I believe that if you can avoid something tragic, that's really better. And so what I want to do is just, give you a situation where hopefully you'll make some great decisions in your life because you all have choices. Now, I have 3 basic assumptions that I will make here today as we talk here. And this is kind of very exciting for me because all of us are very important. I believe assumption number one, all of you intentionally made a decision to be here. Is that true for all of you? Yeah. Okay. You could have done a lot of other things, but you said, I will choose to be here tonight. All right, not to listen to the small Asian guy. No, really. Maybe it wasn't the food. Maybe it's just to look at Elias' smile or get a great hug.
Jim, you just want to get a reaction from me. That's what it is.
What?
You just want to get a reaction from me. That's what it is.
That's right. Maybe it's to watch Elias' hair grow or something.
That's not going to happen no matter what you do.
And the second assumption I will make is that you have an ultimate choice in your life. You can make a choice today that will really guide and shape your future, and you can influence how your future will be by the decisions you make today. That was good, and that's important because I would hate to say, man, life sucks and I can't influence it at all. I got to fall on a rock and die, but you can choose to do that. And that's the second assumption, is that you have that ability and power. The third assumption is you have a desire to really ultimately want to do good and make good decisions. That's what I'm going to predicate a lot of things today on. Sound good? All right, so one thing that I do want to share is that, I want you to really think about the things that are most important to you. And, a lot of times, the mind is a funny thing. If I say, don't think about an elephant, what do you think about? An elephant. I was scanning through the internet. I like to share this one story. And on the internet, I saw this really wonderful Ferraris. Those really nice red Ferraris? Really cool, shiny. I always tell people I want a yellow one because yellow is a little bit different, right? I'm Asian, so it's yellow. Now, the whole thing is that on the beautiful Ferrari, there is a really gorgeous lady leaning on the Ferrari. Okay, get the picture, guys? And it's your wife if you're married. Okay, I want to make sure it's clear. Your wife is married because she's the most incredible person in your life. And I love the caption because, again, we're talking about finances here, right? You have the beautiful Ferrari, really wonderful. Those are pretty costly. You have a beautiful woman leaning on it. It's your wife if you're married. But the whole thing is, I love the caption. It says, financial planning. In the long term, the car is definitely much cheaper. Okay? So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind, right?
She already did it.
Oh, okay, good. That's good. Well, you're thinking, you speak so highly of that. I don't know. Now, the whole thing is that I want you to imagine. Just go ahead and take your mind, clear it if you can. And I want you to do something for me. Go ahead and close your eyes. All right, hold out your credit card and extend your arm. All right, close your eyes. And I want you to think about the things, plural, that are most important to you. And think about what comes into mind for you. It could be a car, it could be your family, it could be a dog, it could be some childhood memory, it could be a favorite picture, a bike. And what I want you to do is go ahead and peruse through all these things that are important to you and hone in on the thing that is most important to you. I want you to hone in on the things that are most important to you. Go ahead and open your eyes. Who can share just something that's really important? Who can share?
My children.
Your children. Great. How many children do you have?
3.
Three beautiful children, right? Okay, great. Who else can share?
My daughter's health.
Oh, your daughter's health. Okay, great. Maybe one more. What else, right?
My dogs and my family.
Your dogs and your family. Okay, great. These are the things that are very important to reflect on. And I'll tell you, as I went ahead and just started thinking about life, because this year has actually been very, very challenging for me. I can share with you on a personal level just some different things if we get a chance to talk one-on-one. But I'll tell you, I learned to value a lot of things I didn't value before. the things that are most important to you is why you even make the decisions you make. That is your driving force or your catalyst. And so I want you to think about that. And I want you to go ahead, take your hand, put it on your heart. And this is something that one of my favorite speakers and actually mentors, because I'm in one of his programs, Mark Allen Granger does. He does a lot with grounding. But have you taken time to really think about what your heart does for you? It beats a lot every single day. I don't know, is there any medical people that tell me how many times it beats a minute?
70 to 100.
How many?
70 to 100.
70 to 100. What about in a day? How many is that?
Times 2,500.
A lot of numbers, right?
2,500 times a day.
Yeah. But how much of you have really spent time? How much time do you really have you ever really thought about how much your heart does for you? And that you should take care of it and appreciate it. I know you love it because you're into heart health, and we need to hear more about that. And the whole thing is there are little things that we can appreciate. And I want to go ahead and just share about basically something that I think is really important because I've seen a lot of situations happen with a lot of different families. My family specifically too, my dad's situation. And some are really challenging, but basically that's why, as we talk about the 3 money mistakes that screw up families in the generations to come, I want you to think about your own situation. And if you know me, I love to make people laugh, and I just love to have a lot of, I don't like to talk about things that are sobering. But it's kind of interesting. As I get older, I start to realize I got to really focus on these things that are important. I really do value every single hour now, every single minute. And that's not just something that I just kind of exaggerate for myself. I really do. I appreciate, if you know me, I love hugs. I love just saying hi to people. And one of the things that I think is that this moment may never come again, and I may never meet this person again. It's the only time that I may be able to meet that person. That person I'm going to learn something from, right? And so that's the exciting thing about life. Now, when I talk about screwing up your family, this is what I've seen, just 3 different families. Screw up I'm defining as something that creates distance, unresolved feelings, arguments, resentment, unforgiveness, which can grow to hatred, and all the actions that follow. And when you think of different things, maybe it's your family, maybe it's not, maybe it's another family, I will tell you, there's a lot going on, especially right now when finances are tough. You notice there's just a lot more tension? One of the critical mistakes that I see is that people just have no plan. They have no plan or no strategy. And a lot of it deals with the fact that there's just no urgency. And, how many of you can honestly say that you have at least 5 years left? Okay, you have 5 years. There we go.
At least.
When you think about this, it's really profound. We used to say it growing up. It's like, can you really guarantee me? Can you really guarantee me? This is a great discussion. I know we want to kind of talk about it, but the whole thing is that how many of you can even guarantee us? We have how many people do we have in this room, Elias, today?
Probably close to 40 right now.
40 people. How many people in this room, that we have 40 people, can we honestly say that all of us are going to be here and wake up tomorrow? And that's a deep thought. That's stuff that we don't want to think about. It's like, oh, it's getting towards the holidays. But I'll tell you, when I started thinking about these things are the things that made me really be grateful. Just the fact that, just the fact that I have my friends, And some of my friends actually have passed away. Some of the people that you've heard about that have been around just overnight, they're gone. And the whole thing is that, I want us to think not so much from a point of view of just feeling sad, so that's not my goal. But my goal is to really help us to really think about things that are most important so that you can make the most of every day. But having no plan is really culprit here because there is no urgency. That's the culprit of just the first mistake people have, just not having a plan. Now, one of the things that I think is pretty interesting, I go in insurance arena. I'm just going to talk about insurance and some of the financial solutions just as a baseline. Is that fair enough? Okay? And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to share with you just some things that I have fun with. I'll tell you, selling insurance can be tough, right? Because you're talking about something no one wants to talk about, right? Especially in the Asian community, if you know about the historical background of some of the Asian communities. But I remember a friend of mine, we used to joke a lot, and I was at his house, and we were talking with him and his wife. We joke around, and we say about different stories, but once in a while I'll get a husband, maybe it might be a little cantankerous, maybe not really wanting so much to take care of the family. I'm not making a judgment, I'm just telling it like it is. I usually tell people there's usually two reasons why you wouldn't consider getting somebody insured. Let me give you an example. Okay, for instance, you have your lovely wife, right? Now, here's the thing. If something was to happen to him, if you got $1 million, would you be okay with that? Income tax free, would that help you? Yeah, it would help, definitely. You'd be sad, but that would be for a little while till you got the check, right? But so I usually tell people, look, there's two reasons why people usually want insurance in the deals, right? Two reasons. The first reason, there's a couple reasons actually. The first is that they have no money, all right, or they don't have the right knowledge, or they just don't love the person. They don't care what happens to the person, right? Once you rule out the fact that they have money, you educated them on something, they can leave it up to them. Well, there's only one left. Is she worth it? I don't know. But the whole thing is that it's a great discussion to leave husband and wife. It really is. What do you mean I'm not worth it? That was the policy. The whole thing is it's kind of hilarious because in this sort of scenario, once in a while, I remember this one appointment, it was a real appointment, and it was a joke, and I thought, wow, this is actually a pretty serious joke. So what happens is I say, look, it sounds like you're not really sold on the idea of insurance, which I get. It's just a death benefit. I don't know why they call it life insurance. You call it death insurance, right? But the whole thing is, I'll tell you what. Why don't you go ahead, sleep on it tonight, and if you get up, give me a call. That's a pretty tough one to think about.
Wow.
You're a hard guy.
And you know what? I thought about that as funny, but it's really a deep subject when you really think about what the implication is. We are not guaranteed tomorrow. And having no plan, should it be an option? I don't know. Now let me tell you about one of my friends. It was really sobering. One of my friends that I talked to recently, her husband, which I knew, I just recently re-engaged with her. We chatted a little bit about her situation. And what had happened was her husband passed away, I think it was like 8 years or so ago. And what happened was the husband's brother was actually a lawyer. And so after the husband, they were on all on friendly terms. After the husband had passed away, the brother immediately started to send letters, just kind of saying, hey, I think my brother was starting to, not ready to divorce you or something. She's like, what are you talking about? Here's all these love letters, right? And it got to so much to the point where that family was trying to actually prove that they never really legitimately got married. Now let me tell you this. This is real life stories. Talk to some people that deal with these sort of issues. Another situation, which is a sobering one, is the husband's wife had passed away. The kids things were just, because it's all about the money, right? Money will bring out people that you haven't seen before. And the whole thing is that it got so bad where even the dad who's grieving couldn't even get his pictures of his own wife from the house. Because the kids, they just had this deadlock on some things. Is that ridiculous? But I'll tell you, that's because there's no definition of where the money goes to. Maybe it goes to probate. Does it go here or there? Let's let the state figure it out. Everything's frozen because there was no plan. And so it is important to have something in place. And I hope that we all take that really seriously because there is a lot of decisions that go on through life and we just don't extend, but things had changed a little bit, right? Like for instance, how many of you guys remember that group Journey? Remember Journey? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay. But the whole thing is that, and then Don't Stop Believing, which is an incredible song. Now, if I pulled out my cassette tape of that, right, and gave it to my son and say, listen to this is awesome. You get this? My cassette tape, I give it to him. There's
on what?
Yeah, right. There's a couple things wrong with that, right? And if you want to go way back, let's get our 8-track player. Remember that? That was really fun, right?
8-track.
But the whole thing is that
Wow.
things get outdated, right? Things I remember when CDs first came out. Remember CDs? I thought, well, being an audiophile that I was, we had some things, we had to be pure, it had to be on vinyl and everything, but actually CDs were better. But do we see CDs very much anymore? They're starting to dissipate a little bit. Everything's going to it because everything upgrades. It's the same thing with financial solutions, whatever you have. If this is the most important thing that's designed to protect your family and really secure your future, why are you not looking at it at least once a year? I will tell you, as a financial professional, I've rolled many policies, and I believe that I've learned a lot through this, but very seldom do I have the other agent, because the other agent's notified. Do I get even a call from them? They'll probably wrote it. They will move on. And there's a lot of reasons why that is. Now, I'm not saying the agent did something wrong. It's just that at that time, that was limited information of what they had. But is it possible that if you do have a plan, that it could be wrong? Let me give you another situation. Somebody had life insurance. They really thought it just covered long-term care, right? Do we have any financial professionals here? I know you're one, Michael, and you're as well. What is the difference between life insurance and long-term care?
Life insurance is in case you die too soon. Long-term care is in case you live too long.
Okay, do you hear that? Life insurance is because you die too soon, and long-term care is if you live too long, because you need long-term care by definition, right? So a lot of people go about, they think, oh, I have life insurance, that's going to take care of me. Well, wrong, because if you need long-term care and you don't die, you just don't die, what's going to happen is it's going to be tough. And I'll tell you, insurance will pay once you die. But a lot of people end up giving up their insurance. You know why? Because they can't afford it when long-term care comes along, right? How much better to understand the entire life cycle of life and even understand that with the right products, right now they have some products with long-term care built in for just a little bit more money. Because long-term care, there's a lot going on in the healthcare arena right now. But it might be nice to know the difference between the two. Another situation where people say, oh, I have life insurance from my job and stuff. Well, that's great, but what if you get really sick? And then what happens if you get really crippled when you need that life insurance because you're about ready to die and they terminate you as a result? What happens to your life insurance for the company? It goes away, right? So you might not want to get that insurance only and really understand what benefits you really have. Because you might have good coverage for one situation, but really not adequate coverage for another situation, right? Do you know that if you have a severe heart attack, that basically you probably wouldn't qualify for life insurance? Isn't that right, Michael? Yeah. But do you also know at the same time, if you go for long-term care, they might qualify easier. You know why? Because a heart attack is the sign, what does it do usually? It'll kill you, right?
Yeah, they don't even want to.
Yeah, that's right. So long-term care, the long-term care really covers a whole different need. But it's important to understand the differences between these two. And so a lot of people, they make the critical mistake of just really having the wrong plan or just an incomplete plan. And one of the things that is pretty interesting is that really a lot of people really, as I deal with them, very few people have a plan. I'd say less than, I don't, do you know what the number is right now of people that have a plan? Probably around
3%.
3%? All right, I heard it was like 8 to 12% have a sufficient plan. Because a lot of times what happens, you go to a professional, they say this is what you need, and if they don't have the full life cycle, and I can tell you, being one of them, starting in the same arena, if you don't understand the whole full life cycle, your plan may be incomplete. There may be a lot of exposure. But the whole thing is that when you go ahead and understand the full picture, that's good. But the third thing I want you to really think about is, the third critical mistake I see is that people have no intent to have a financial strategy or plan in the near future. And I say that because all of us want to plan. And I'll tell you a story about one of my neighbors. One of my neighbors, we actually wrote an insurance policy, and it was all good to go, but then the person said, hey, I have to pull back because I have to help somebody in my family with some finance. I said, are you sure? Write me a letter because I have to make sure that because you have an application, it wasn't because I didn't submit it, because something could happen. Awesome, just tell me you don't want it and write it. Make sense? So the person did that, A few months later, they said, hey, I need that insurance policy. I said, great. They go, only one problem. Now I have cancer. Now here's the tough thing with that, right? The tough thing with that is the fact that once they have cancer, what can I do for them during the life insurance policy? Nothing. Very, very, very little. And the situation changed. And the whole thing was the intention was there. The intention was very good. But what happened was a circumstance, the context of everything changed. And that created a lot more urgency. Now, when you think about just breathing, how many of you thought, I'm so thankful for the air today? Right? Some of us do. I know you do, Bill, because you deal with the heart, so that's awesome. But, I would love to see, a lot of people just think about 20 things they're thankful for before they start the day. It sounds like a lot, but you can actually go through pretty quick if you know what they are. Now, the whole thing is that, let's contrast it to somebody that just dove into a swimming pool. They didn't quite get that full breath, right? They're a champion swimmer like you, Leo, okay? And you dive in, you didn't take full breath, and you're like 10 feet under the water because it's a deep pool. And then you're going up. Are you a little urgent to get to the top? You are, right? You're out of breath. But let's say you're a deep sea diver and you dive down into the ocean. You're about, how far down do you go in deep sea usually? And dive, anyone know? 100 feet, is it? Okay, I'm not sure. Let's say 70 feet, all right? You're 70 feet below, and then you realize, you look at your oxygen tank, and all of a sudden you see there's a puncture, and there's a leak, and the oxygen is depleting very, very quickly, and you're almost out of oxygen. How urgent are you to get to the top?
Very urgent.
You're very urgent at that point. And that's the sense of urgency that life insurance and other financial vehicles have. But I talk about insurance just as a template. All right, it's not about selling insurance, it's just about having a financial plan, just something we can relate to, okay? We can talk about other types of vehicles. But really my emphasis is on the plan itself. But the whole thing is that, can you imagine, taking a test, having the answers right here, and how many of you have procrastinated taking tests before in school? How many of you have done that? Be honest, most of us have, right?
Yeah.
But the whole thing is that what happens is, how do you feel during the test? Well, I should have studied a lot harder, I should have planned better, right? Yeah, you're nodding your head, right? We know those situations happen. But what happens is, you're put to the test. That's when everything's tested. And if you didn't plan, it's tough to do the all-night cramming. I went to UC Berkeley, I crammed a lot too. And I did okay, but I could have definitely done better with a lot less stress. And the whole thing is that when I go ahead and think about the fact that planning is so important, I see so many people that have the intention, but they haven't really taken the action yet. And they want to wait until they're down below, when they're way down in the sea, and they find out something really major is happening. And so now they want to get things in order. I will tell you, it's much better to get it in order when you're drinking your, what do they call it, mint julep? Just relaxing, getting things in order than when you're stressed. I deal with a lot of seniors that are in both situations. And I'll tell you, it's tough when people are trying to plan and yet they have now an additional $6,000 or $8,000 bill that's coming now every single month, and they're trying to figure it out at that point, okay? But the whole thing is that the planning, putting it in place, if you know exactly what to do, it makes it a lot easier, isn't it? And it's kind of like when you take a trip. Again, we start with point A, and we go to point B, right? And I'm Asian, so I'm not the best with directions, right?
Jim.
The whole thing is
Jim, I'm going to edit that part.
I can say that, right? I can say that, right? Now, if you said it, wouldn't come out the same. I'd be rich if you said that. But the whole thing is that it is a very serious topic, this whole thing. And there's a few things that I'm going to do here and just really concluding. But my whole thing is at the end here. Again, a lot of people have no plan, or they have an incomplete or the wrong plan, or they just have the intention, but they just don't really want to do the plan yet. And the yet is what gets us, right? But I want you to think about what's important to you and take time. It doesn't have to be just about finances, but I do think that this is the thing that really is the crux of many breakups in marriages, many stresses. And, I think I heard Dr. Oz said that I think it's like 80% of all diseases are related to stress and anxiety. And I will tell you, if all of us were in this room, I bet you there's more than 70% of us that are under stress and anxiety because we just are uncertain. That is the worst pull. And I just ask you to put certainty in what you do. Decide to make a decision, to decide to think about your life. How do you want to live your life? Your why. Bring back your dream again. And just really think and decide about the people that you love. What are you leaving them behind with? But also yourself. How do you want to live your life? Because that is, again, your driving force, right? So with that, I want to just tell you about my mother, because that was my driving force. Very simple. She didn't speak very much English. I joke about this too, but she spoke part English, Chinese, so we call that Chinglish, right? So I speak Chinglish. And the whole thing is that she's very simple. But I did not take the time to tell her how much I appreciate her. And she fed us every day. She worked hard. But I didn't realize I was growing up. And the whole thing was that it was pretty interesting just to imagine, her at her funeral. When I moved here to the Stockton area, I moved from the Bay Area close to my parents in Sacramento. My mom passed away. Unbeknownst to me, there was uncertainty. 4 months later, I got a call late at night, and she was gone. And my nephews, they were sharing about just how she loved the water. And I never saw it. I would have loved to see it. I would have died and paid anything, Bruce, to pay anything to capture that moment on film. My mom just teetering in the ocean. She's very simple. And they hold her arms up, and stuff too. And I never really got the chance to really tell her thank you. And so it all comes full circle. And, I think I've learned to appreciate a lot of things since then. But I want you to think about, your life. And there's a poem by Linda Ellis that's very important. It talks about the beginning and the end. It talks about when you're born and when you die and everything in between. That is called the dash. Let me read it to you, okay? And I want you to think about the people that you care about, the people that you love. And then there's a couple of things that I want to go through right after that. Over here it says, the dash. I read of a man who stood to speak at the funeral of a friend. He referred to the dates on our tombstone, from the beginning to the end. He noted that first came the date of her birth and spoke of the following date with tears. But he said what matters most of all was the dash between those years. For that dash represents all the time that she spent alive on earth, and now only those who loved her know what that little line is worth. For it matters not how much we own, the cars, the house, the cash. What matters is how we live and love, and how we spend our dash. So think about this long and hard. Are there things you'd like to change? For you never know how much time is left that can still be rearranged. If you could just slow down enough to consider what's true and real, and always try to understand the way that other people feel, and be less quick to anger and show appreciation more, and love the people in our lives like you've never loved before. It's actually a pretty good residential facility. Here's somebody that deals with living trusts. I'm giving you practical examples. I do not get paid for this. I don't want to just leave you hanging like, yeah, great, but where do I go, right? Talk to them. Joanna, raise your hand there, okay? Let's give her a round of applause real quick. She deals with results strategies in real estate. She teaches about not just real estate, but real estate investment. She provides education. And then you have, people like Jade who talk about family. Bruce that captures memories on film. I'll tell you, cherish those pictures. Get them done. I know Christmas and other things are coming up. Remember those times. Don't miss out on those moments. And then, of course, Catherine Girardi is also mentioned here. She was not able to be here. Many of you know her as well. But I want you to think about this and make some calls. Just talk to them. Just say, hey, I heard about your name. What is it that you do, and why are you important? All right, fair enough? Now, the whole thing is that I want to go ahead and we have a gift for you, okay? How many of you like free? All right, come on. Everyone loves free. Well, I want to go ahead. There's a very free gift just in 1 or 2 minutes. I'd like to introduce somebody, Kathy Fairbanks, and she has a special gift for you. And why don't you tell them about the gift and your offering because of our presentation?
Okay, sure. Hi, I'm Kathy. I met Jen last year, and we've gotten to know each other over the past few months. I work with Clemmer and Associates Leadership Seminars, and really our goal is to make a difference in the world Our mission is to create bold, ethical leaders for a world that works for everyone with no one left out. And the no one left out is really important to us. So tonight, to honor Jim, he's actually provided a gift for you. And that's a book we call Eating the Elephant, One Bite at a Time. And it's 52 weeks of leadership lessons. Now, you can eat it all in one bite, read the whole book in one night, or you can use it with your team if you want, and to provide a leadership lesson for them once a week. There's a lot of organizations out there that use this as a brown bag lunch, and I've even known families to randomly have their children pick out a lesson, and it becomes a dinner time conversation. So I hope you create great value for that. I'm a little curious about who's in the audience, so I want to share a little bit about Hummer, but I want to learn a little bit about you. So I have a question. How many people have a dog? Okay. How many people have a neighbor with a dog? All right, so keep your hands up. So you have a dog, you have a neighbor with a dog. How many people have seen a dog? So everybody. All right, would you agree that dogs like bones? Yes. All right, dogs like bones. In our seminar work, where we're going to come in and we're going to challenge that mindset, that belief system, and we're going to say, no, we don't think dogs like bones. We think dogs like steak. And they're settling for the bones. And so what I would ask you, what in life are you settling for? What are the bones of your life, in your business, in your relationships, in your community, in your charitable organizations? Where are those bones in life you're just settling for, and what's keeping you from going for the steak? All right? So that's my challenge to you. I will make an opportunity available. We have a leadership development workshop. It starts tomorrow evening here in Sacramento over by the McClellan Air Force Base. And it's Friday evening, Saturday, and Sunday. And if leadership development and personal growth resonates with you and you can free up your weekend, I know Jim is going to join us. A few others in the room are. Just see me here in the back of the room, and we'll gift that $600 tuition to you because you're in this room tonight, and that's a favor Jim asked me to provide. So that's a gift to you.
Thank you. We'll talk to this a little bit afterwards. That's okay. And if you fill out this form, we'll collect it right at the end and make it right further. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Another round of applause for Jim.